Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are live. This is part three of conversations with Black men on sex, dating, relationships, love, marriage, and everything in between. We are still trying to add a couple of other brothers to the studio. You guys just give us a couple of seconds. I'm trying to add them now, and I'm having some trouble doing it. Let's see. Okay, maybe we'll figure it out. Yeah, Murph said, yeah, okay. Maybe we'll figure it out here in a minute, but we're going to go ahead and get started. We have even more guests tonight, and the reason being is we wanted to make sure in our third part, this third series, that we bring you the entire spectrum, right? So we've had some young brothers on the panel. We've got some seasoned brothers that are going to join us later tonight. We have brothers who've been married for over 20 years, brothers who are in interracial relationships, brothers who've been married more than once. And so we're bringing it to you just like we would bring it to you in the barbershop. Now, granted, we probably will not use some of the same language that we normally use in the barbershop, just because that's just us as men. But at the same time, the content, the topics, the themes, we certainly want to try to cover tonight. And then next week, we've gotten tons of emails to bring the ladies back with conversations with the brothers. That's exactly what we want to do on next week. So all of you have really pushed for each of us to come back and do a part three. None of us on the call tonight thought that we would get to a part two, but now we're here at a part three. So we're super excited about that. Before we get started, I do want to just share one thing really quickly. We have had some phenomenal partners, if you will, those who have decided to be part of the branding for Our Village in Action, who have said, hey, we want to just take part in providing some monetary money to go towards the platform and to go towards all the other administrative costs that we have. And this week, a great friend of mine, Keisha Ward, has a business called Red Virtual Solutions Assistance. Her company provides administrative support to all. A better way to do business. This is the missing piece to your puzzle. Keisha, I've known her for over 10 years. One of the reasons that I did return back to get my PhD. It's always great to have strong friends in your corner to kind of really support you and help you make important life decisions. I actually have gone through her Solutions Assistance program and have an executive assistant who has been a godsend. And so if you are in need of administrative assistance, personal assistance, executive assistance, please contact Keisha here. The number is there, as well as the email address. And then those who decide to use the services will receive 10% off the services using the code OVIA and then number 10. I'll be sure towards the end of the call to make another announcement about our partner for tonight. Okay, cool, gentlemen. Part three. So look, I want to do a disclaimer. I didn't do this disclaimer last time or the first time. This is number three, and I probably should have started with this. But last 2 weeks we've kind of really discussed some really deep, intimate, and vulnerable moments, right, of ourselves about love, dating, and sex. The disclaimer is none of us are experts in this topic. And then none of us are perfect, right? But what we offer is an invaluable commodity, the experience and the platform to talk about the things that we only discuss in the barbershop. Now, each of us have our own skeletons and our own missteps, but that is what has allowed us to grow personally and professionally. Now, our desire is to help each of you not make some of the same mistakes that we've made. Now, I wanted to put that disclaimer out because we've had a lot of viewers the last couple of weeks, over 2,200 viewed episode 2. And I received some emails, I received some text messages, I received some DMs. Some people were saying things like, well, I dated a couple of folks that were on, the broadcast, and this is maybe how I was treated. And so I just really want to put that disclaimer. We are not proclaiming that we're perfect. We're never proclaiming that we have it all together, but we have learned some invaluable lessons over the years and in our experiences. We want to talk about that. Tonight, we'll probably have a total of 7 African American men from all different ages, from all different backgrounds, talking about their experiences. What conference, what summit, what brainstorming session can you find 7 well-educated, well put together, driven, ambitious, professional Black men who are willing to discuss relationships, love, and dating? I just can't find it. So I think we're just blessed to even have the conversation tonight. But I just wanted to share that disclaimer. All right, so we ended last week. Let me just try one more time to get the guests in. Jeez. We got 2 other guest fellas in the waiting room, and I can't seem to get them in. All right, so we'll put the question out, and then I'm gonna try to play with that. But we ended in it last week, and Reggie, you had to jump off because I know you had another call last week. But we kind of talked a little bit about what is it, Cardi B song, WAP, right? We kind of touched on that just a little bit. And for those who haven't heard it, I'm pretty sure 90% of our audience has heard it. But there are some folks who've never heard it before. WAP, W-A-P, Cardi B claims it stands for wet ass pussy. And so last week, we talked about the myth that great sex will make a man commit to his relationship, okay? And we dispelled that myth. We talked at length about how just sex in general is not what makes a man commit to a relationship. There are many other things that need to be explored and many other things that need to be valued other than sex. What I want to start off with tonight, though, kind of still touching on sex, what other myths, gentlemen, are out there that you want to dispel this evening, right? So what other things have you heard have been brought to you that you know not to be true about men, whether it relates to sex or about men as it relates to relationship, that you kind of want to dispel that myth? I'm going to have y'all jump into it. I'm going to try to bring our other guests on. Y'all go ahead.
Go ahead, Reg.
All right. So one of the first things that came to mind for me is you hear women have the saying a lot of times, all men care about is sex. And I think it's a way to make sex almost evil or diminish the importance of sex, right? The value in sex, right? So a lot of times, at least speaking for myself, right? Sex, now that I'm in a marriage, especially, I can't say I was looking at it in the same vein when I was, on the streets doing my thing, right? But now being in marriage, it's a way for me to connect and get that connection going, right? So a lot of times women may want to be intimate and then have sex, right? Because they feel, comfortable, they feel closer to you to be able to now have sex. Whereas, speaking for myself, having sex actually opens me up, especially as a man who hasn't been as used to opening up and being intimate. I mean, I literally just learned not too long ago that intimacy was like showing your vulnerabilities and your fears and stuff. I thought it was just foreplay. I literally was like, yo, yeah, we could be intimate. Not really knowing what intimacy was, right? But having sex and having that physical breakdown for me to now leading me to be open for the intimacy, right? So you can't diminish the importance of sex. You don't want it to villainize it, right? So that's the thing that comes from me is, for men, sex isn't just this carnal thing. Yeah, it's a part of it, but that's not the whole thing. Guys want that connection. They want that closeness. So that's my piece.
Okay.
Sure. Job, you want something?
I think a myth that you hear a lot is once a cheater, always a cheater. I don't personally think that that's true. I think that, people who make mistakes, do have tendencies to fall back into very similar traits or very similar behaviors. But I don't think that once a cheater, always a cheater. I think that people do evolve. I think that people learn from mistakes. I think people do weigh out their options. I think people learn that, making a mistake like that is choice. And I think that people learn from choices that we make, and it ultimately makes us, it can make us a better person. It can make us, like what we talked about in part one, that whole like go home thing. I think that you learn from those choices because of the consequences that you face. And I think that that's a myth that, I don't believe that once a cheater, always a cheater. And that's even from personal experiences that I've made. I don't feel like the behaviors and the consequences that I received after being, a cheater has, labeled me a cheater in every relationship. So that's a myth that I definitely don't agree with.
Yeah, I think that's a good myth too. I mean, I've heard that before as well, Dom. I mean, it's almost like, Pastor Staples, this is where you could come in. It's almost like we don't have the ability to change.
Yeah.
Right. It's almost as if a woman does it, there were reasons and there were circumstances. But when a man does it, it's almost like it becomes part of who he is. And,
Yeah.
and there's no ability for him to change. I've heard that comment, once a cheater, always a cheater, related to men so many times.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead, jump in.
Right. Well, I listened to both of the fellas, and there's a whole lot of information that both of you guys just threw out there real quick. But so I'm gonna start with this. We found out over the last day or so that WAP ain't keep him. So that's something that we can kind of we can play with that a little bit of that as well, because it's been across all social media outlets and everything that she is now getting a divorce. But the thing is, she made the song WAP. That's one of the things that people struggle with, is that they think that that's all it is. They think that that's the only thing. If I got this wet good, I'm all right. However, at the end of it, it's way more to it. Like Dom said, he found out that it's more emotional. There's more feelings into it. It's not just physical, it's emotional. Sex is a place that does not start once you hit the bed. Sex started this morning when you woke up, when you said good morning. How you said good morning. Did you kiss him on the forehead when you left, or on the cheek when you left, or however you show your emotional part? Did you call them throughout the day? Did somebody send some flowers? It starts way before you actually get to the bedroom. Once you get to the bedroom, if you've done everything else, because you have to still understand the side of the man versus the woman. The men are logical, women are often emotional, and when you put those two things together, you have to how about this? You have to make love to their mind first. If you make love to their mind first, then you can get to where you're trying to get to. Ultimately, that is a climax. It is not just for you to climax, but it's for them to climax as well. Oftentimes in this whole thing, in this whole sex world, men are selfish. Men are selfish. And then when you bring in the part that Dom is talking about, the whole cheating aspect of it, that taps in on the emotional side as well. One of the hardest things to do is to go back into your relationship after you've had that moment of some indiscretion. And when either party steps out, I mean, it's so hard to go back and reclaim what was once there in the beginning, because it's so now emotionally tied. Now you have so many things that's on your mind in the midst of you actually going through your, as they would say in some parts of the world, your conjugal visit.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So what other myths? I mean, once a cheater, always a cheater, and I think Lamar, you touched into question 2 that I want to kind of get at, but before I go to question 2, I just want to try to dispel some of these other myths about Black men specifically, in dating, relationships, love. We talked a little bit about not being emotionally available in week 1, right? If y'all remember that.
Right.
Myths about Black men are emotionally unavailable creatures. I think that all of us have said in week 1 that we have been there before, but that's not the case anymore. But we also had to learn some valuable lessons on how to get there. And honestly, it's been some great women who have helped us to become more emotionally available, right? We haven't created these type of roundtable discussions where we can tell each other, hey, Reg, hey, Dom, hey, Lamar, y'all got to be more emotionally available. It's actually been either the breakup of a relationship, and we realize later, you know what, this is what I should have done then. So I certainly wanted to, at least bring that up.
Or therapy.
Yeah. Okay. I figured it out.
Hey.
I figured it out. Okay. Murph, Fred, Corey, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got you, bro.
Oh, it's on. It's about to be a wrap. For those of you who are just signing in, it's just 20 after 8 East Coast time, 20 after 7 Corey Q time out of Texas. And we about to have fun. There's 7 of us tonight, all black men from all different backgrounds, all different parts of the world, talking about love, sex, dating, relationships from the lens of a black man, bringing it to you inside of our homes, but we probably wouldn't be in a barbershop like LeBron James has done with his barbershop series. We're bringing it to you live. And so I want to give Fred and Eric and Corey just an opportunity to answer question 1 before the 7 of us go right back into the discussion on tonight. This is part 3. So look,
the room has gotten real dark right now. The man Corey has now showed up. I don't know what to do. What we gonna do?
So
hey, listen, let me tell you something, State. I'm live and on fire today, baby. So you better be ready.
Hey, so look, I'm gonna just the way that I can see it, it'll be Eric, then Corey, then Fred. This is the question 1. I want each of you to hit really quick, 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes each. We talked about the first question was dispelling any myths, right, related to black men dating, love, and relationships. And the myth we ended with last week was that Cardi B's song, WAP, W-A-P, WAP is enough to keep a man committed in the relationship, right? We all said last week that it's not enough. There's other things that have to go into play that will make a man commit. So really quick, Eric, Corey, then Fred, what other myths do we want to debunk and dispel about black men in relationships?
I think that one of the things I've heard. Can you guys hear me? You can hear me, right?
Yep, good.
First of all, I want to say what's up, brothers. I've been listening to you guys, and I just want to tell you I appreciate it. I've been in the waiting room like, damn, I'm trying to get in. I think one of the things that I think that is a myth is one of the things I've seen with some of the brothers I know is that when you engage in a relationship with someone who is not African American, be that Asian, Caucasian, whatever that is not because of a hate for black women.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a myth, and I don't think that those other women are more susceptible or more readily available for other forms of sex because they are of a different ethnicity. You know what I'm saying? So I think the belief is that I would hook up with this person because they down to do some freaky deaky that someone else is not willing to do. That's a damn lie.
Yeah,
Right.
real talk. I see how you moving, Murph. I see how you moving. Yeah,
Early.
Try to get it started. Go ahead, Corey.
Early.
Hey, Murph, that was I want to concur with you 1,000%. I'm sorry. The myth that I want to dispel is I just want to go back to the WAP, whatever that stands for. I'm not exactly sure what that stands for at this point, but whatever that stands for,
You gotta change it.
I just want to say that that will not keep a man at home. But let me be very clear. Let me kind of defend Cardi B. Cardi B defended. She the one that filed for divorce, not whatever the dude is. And so maybe he just wanted multiple WAPs and she only had one to give him. And so, maybe one WAP won't keep you. Well, never mind. Go ahead, Fred.
I told y'all the room got dark.
The room got dark, son.
Hey, the room is about to get even darker. Fred is about to go, man. This is my dude, my homie, my fraternity brother, and this brother keeps it 100, man.
Oh.
Fred, come on, man, give it to us.
You set me up. No, but I want to touch on that on the WAP too, and I do know what it means, and everybody appreciates WAP. You heard me? But I mean, think about it, man. In an intellectual capacity, if a woman smart enough to think her way through a wet paper bag, ought to be insightful enough to realize if that's all a man is thinking about, then the lure of another WAP is just right around the corner. So if you think you got that good, you're mistaken, because that same brother whose number one priority is WAP is looking for any WAP he can latch on to. You know what I mean? So that totally dispels the myth that from an intelligent woman. I mean, a brother who's searching for that is probably okay with a chick who believes that. But a brother such as yourselves, who's looking for more than that, is not going to be latched onto a woman who thinks that. You get what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
If that's as shallow as she is, she's not going to end up with somebody like you or me.
No,
I'm not looking for somebody like that. And
Frederick,
there was
you
a
gonna be-
second point about brothers who are unable to emotionally connect. In my opinion, I'm from Mississippi. I'm from Southern Mississippi, and I grew up in the early '60s. Integrated to school. Had to sit in the balcony of movie theater, walk through the back doors of dentist's office, wait in a separate waiting room at the doctor's office, been called a nigga by teachers. You know what I'm saying? So to a large degree, I think that a lot of brothers aren't difficult to connect with. We're just protective of our masculinity and don't want to find ourselves emasculated by the man or anybody else, including a woman or our woman. So we're going to make sure that we maintain a certain sense of a dignity about ourselves. It doesn't mean that we're not approachable or we're not reachable or can't connect. But I think anybody, a well-meaning brother is going to carry himself a certain way that might be misunderstood. On top of that, I think we have to remember that it's almost impossible when you think about it that men and women actually get along and have meaningful relationships simply because we communicate so differently. We don't even speak the same language. And what Lamar was saying about sex starting like with a goodbye kiss in the morning when you go to work, or coming home and doing the dishes, or just showing some type of consideration towards your wife rather than thinking that she's going to be stimulated by the same things that you are, is an exercise in futility because we don't think the same way, but we are able to emote. I'd also like to add this to the discussion. It's, in my opinion, always been a mistake. And not that this forum is not a good way for brothers to talk, because you guys have to be some intelligent guys. But in a brother's formative years, a lot of times they tend to rely on other dudes for their education about women, and that invariably is a mistake.
Right.
If you have platonic female friends, I've always thought that was the best way to go to find out what women thought, is to ask a woman.
Yeah, that's good, Fred. That's good. And you know what? I just want to touch on something that Fred said earlier. Fred mentioned, growing up in the 60s, and tonight we have a gamut, a whole array of black men on this panel, 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And so you're going to get it through lived experiences of multiple generations tonight. Some married, some not married, some married interracially, some not married interracially, some married more than once, some never married. Like you're just going to get the entire array tonight. So if y'all have some questions early on, if y'all want to shoot, put it in the chat. We want to really start addressing a lot of the questions tonight because this is our third night with this particular group. We're going to integrate the group next week. So we want to try to take as many questions as you guys possibly can throw at us tonight. This next question really quick, and I want Reggie to kind of start off and then everybody piggyback, is another question about sex. We focus so much on women performing. There's a lot of pressure, I feel, on women to perform, hence the WAP song and tons of other Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, Eve, MC Lyte, you Queen Latifah, you name it, the female rapper. There was always a lot of pressure in those songs, and there's always a lot of pressure in our society for women to perform. Gentlemen, let's talk a little bit about the importance of men performing well in the bedroom, as well as what we have learned that women want more of, right? So Reggie, we'll start with you. What is it the importance. Talk about the importance of men performing well, because the pressure shouldn't be just on women to perform, as well as what we have learned that women want more of.
Bro, I mean, I think the first thing that I had to learn, I'm gonna go back to the intimacy thing, man. You know, Dr. Staples, OG, you know, said it so well that it's not just a in the sheets thing. It's an all day foreplay, the mental stimulation, the build up, right? And it might not even just be that day. It might be, you know, from you started it from early on in the week, where she said that she wanted a certain thing, and you paid enough attention to, you know, buy it for and surprise her with it. So now she sees, okay, he's actually listening to me, right? You're taking the time where she may get home from work. She's tired. She's had a long day, and you took the time to not jump her, but like, hey, babe, would you like your feet rubbed? Right? So you could initiate some physical, but it's also taking your time with it and catering, right? And then, like I said, the intimacy, that's something that I learned because before my marriage, my last relationship was 10 years ago in college. I literally was single for 10 years, so I never knew how to actually be intimate, right? I didn't know how to open myself up to a woman, ask questions, let her get to know me, and to continue this process, right? And to your other question, as far as having the same standard, really, and having the same expectations for men to be able to satisfy the woman, I mean, it's important. It's important that you know what she likes, not just what you like for yourself and what you like to do for her, but asking her, you know, what is it that you like? You know, what are your favorite, whether it be positions, the length of time. Some people like short sex, some people like long sex, some people like morning sex, some people like nighttime sex. Just like knowing each other's preferences, right? So that way you could cater to what she actually wants, right? And that goes with the whole happy wife, happy life. You know, regardless if y'all married or not, just being able to know what she specifically wants, just like how you want her to know what you like. So that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, that's good, Reggie. More communication about what she wants as opposed to always trying to fulfill your own needs.
Not assuming.
Not assuming. That's good. I muted some of the mics. Just if you're not talking, mute your mic with some feedback. So unmute yourself if you're about to talk. But yeah, someone else. I think it's important that we talk about the performance of men in the bedroom without the pressure of always being on the woman to perform. For years, that's what it's been about. But I think that all of us are educated, smart men, have been in some great relationships, and I think that if we're honest with ourselves, that her fulfillment, her enjoyment, is just as important as ours. So talk about it. Take your mics off mute. Whoever's going to speak.
Well, let me jump into it right quick. Can y'all hear me? You got me?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, cool. So one of the things that Reggie was saying is the intimacy side of it. And what I've learned is that intimacy matters more than almost anything else. You can be physically and go absolutely ham and go crazy and perform like, well, you know, as we would call it some days, you performing like a cool beast. I mean, you and the gorilla beating your chest. You swinging from the chandeliers and knocking over the flower pots, and you know, I know Corey to put oil on his whole body. Ain't no telling. It's bad. But
I could hear the slap through the speaker.
But the thing is, if we have done intimacy right, we've got the details right, we've paid attention to the small things right, you don't have to work as hard. Okay. No, y'all get quiet. You don't have to work as hard. You don't have to put in that as long nights. You know, if you ain't got to put that much in, because they're already ready. They're already at the point at where they're ready to explode because you've done everything else right. It's all about the details. Details makes a major difference. Paying attention makes a major difference in any level of sexual experience. It just makes a great deal of a difference.
So speaking about details, and somebody else jump on this part of the question, what about a man's length and his girth? I mean, for years we used to hear those songs, 10 inches, 12 inches. You know, we're like, well, who y'all dealing with? These cats from Africa? Like, you know, who y'all dealing with? You know, so talk about y'all laughing. I'm serious. I'm dead serious. Like we have spent a lot of years listen to music. If you watch movies, especially in our community, right? We talk about the WAP, but we also talk about men who are well endowed and how the well endowed men perform better than men who are not well endowed. So talk about girth and length and, you know, foreplay and all that stuff.
Could I offer something? I think one of the things, Lamar, man, it's wonderful to meet you, brother. I think one of the things that I think is important, one of the things I've seen in my years is emotional infidelity is much more negative than a physical infidelity, right? So I think that one of the things that I have seen that is a part of the foreplay is being able to communicate not only about my desire to honor my partner and make sure their day is smooth and provide that trust, but it's also about me being able to communicate with her about what she wants. Because as we talk about girth and whatever else, all I know is that in my experience or what other dudes experience, because I've been therapist, so let me say that. Let me make sure I got that right when I say I've been this. Let me help that out. What I found is their ability to communicate about their partner, about what their partner needed to achieve orgasm was much more important than that man's physicality. And what that came down to was that man being willing to be vulnerable and know that they did not know what that woman needed at that moment to help her achieve orgasm. It was about me being grounded, or that client being grounded in the moment to be able to hear how to help this woman and honor her achieve trust, and therefore allowing her body to receive you. You know what I'm saying? So really the game is like, how can I help you?
That's the game.
That's the game. Ain't no game. That's the game. Not having a game.
Yeah.
And if somebody wants you to have a game, you need to know they want a player. They want somebody playing the motherfucker.
You good? You good? Come on. You good? Come on.
They got somebody. They want somebody playing the motherfucking role, not somebody who's willing to be vulnerable and be themselves.
Yeah, vulnerability.
That goes back to
turn your mic up a little bit, Fred.
My fault about that. My fault.
How do you do that?
Just your volume, Fred. That's all. Or speak closer.
There you go. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, shit. Sorry.
We lost Fred.
You forgot me?
Fred, we can hear. Yeah.
Jay.
Yeah, you going in and out, Fred.
Jason.
Yeah.
Am I back? I'm frozen.
Yeah. Hey, Corey, jump in until Fred gets his mic together.
My pleasure to jump in.
Let's do it.
Oh shit.
Hey, I will say this. This is a very vulnerable conversation for all of us, because this is something that we do with each other, right? All of you we've had these conversations one-on-one, but then putting it on the World Wide Web, the internet, this changes the game, right? And so if you see us hesitate, there's some trepidation tonight, it's only because we are also thinking about our professions, also thinking about all of the thousands of folks who are watching us by World Wide Web. It's not that we do not want to share. It's more about how we'll be perceived and viewed. And so I just wanted to put that out there. That's why there's a little hesitation in some of these questions tonight. Yeah,
so I'm glad Brother Eric said what he said, because I was going to take more of a therapist perspective on this question about performance. Because I think the reality is, we as Black men, depending on your culture, depending on where you were raised, how you were raised, our whole life is about performance. And if you're not careful, you'll take, especially athletes. All right, so it depends on how you were raised. If you were born in a competitive culture, then what happens? We take that same mindset to the bedroom. And I'll be honest with you guys and be vulnerable. You know, my whole thought process for 35 years was to beat it up. I thought that if I was beating it up, I was performing.
Right.
Just like I wanted to run the fastest on the football field. I wanted to tackle the hardest. I wanted to dunk the hardest. I wanted to make the best. Everything was about go, aggression, until I understood that really it wasn't about me satisfying her. It was really about me being egotistical and prideful and trying to perform in the manner that I thought would have her laid out.
Yeah,
you know,
in a coma.
You know, I demolished it because I'm a lion going after my prey. But the more you begin to mature, going back to what you said, Dr. J, you understand that the reality is though size and girth and length and all of that stuff is a factor, the reality is the intimacy is the most important part.
That's good.
It is can you bang out her mind first? Can you satisfy her emotionally first? Can you make her feel safe first? Now the reality is some people, that is not your intent. Your intent is just to go in there and clean out the pipes. Right. But if you really want a long-lasting relationship where intimacy and trust and longevity is there, then you begin to understand that I can dial back the aggression. And what I can do now is spend more time trying to get to know what actually satisfies you, what makes you feel safe, what makes you feel comfortable, what makes you feel sexy, what makes you feel aggressive. And I think it's about exploration. Life is about a journey. And I'll switch hats and go from a pastor perspective here. I personally believe that when God placed us on this planet, our mission in life is to discover our purpose. So it is a journey. And sexuality is a journey as well. When you get that woman, in some cases, I was concerned a little bit, Eric, when you said the two men, but that's another story. But in some cases, that's a joke, y'all, if we're watching, I'm just joking. And whatever the situation may be, it's about discovering that person and being patient enough, and skilled enough to catch that place or catch that rhythm that satisfies her. Because if you satisfy her in the bedroom, if you satisfy her emotionally, you satisfy her spiritually, then you got a woman who's gonna be by your side forever. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, Fred, jump in, and then Dom, I want you to go kind of close that out for us.
You know, I think that sex means a lot. Sex is a great enhancement to a relationship. You know, I think we all realize that your relationship sex shouldn't be the foundation of your relationship. So I don't care what kind of WAP you got. The foundation of your relationship, like Brother Pastor just said, needs to be grounded in something more concrete than that. And in my marriage, it's my wife's in my faith. There couldn't be any more two different people than me and my wife. But the most important things to us are the things that we most agree on. But back to the whole issue of sex and satisfaction. I was speaking to a young lady who was in her early 30s at work, and she was talking to me about her new boyfriend whom she knows cares about her. Not the most handsome guy. I don't know about his physical endowment, but she expressed to me that because he cared about her, she was more inclined to sacrifice make physical sacrifices and sexual sacrifices, whether he was willing to reciprocate orally, that type of thing, or not. She learned to sort of put in the rearview mirror, because there were things about him that she appreciated way more than what happened in the bedroom. I think that sometimes men, because of sex's value to us, tend to, attribute that same hierarchy or that same priority to women. And they don't see sex the same way as we do. Like one of the brothers said earlier, I think women see it as more, possibly, and not that they don't see sex as a physical outlet as well, but like one of the brothers said earlier, there's a whole lot of emotion that goes into it and a whole lot of other things besides physical attraction and physically being turned on that start off foreplay. I mean, not one foreplay, that's like one half play and 3/4 play, and then 1 play and 2 play, 3 play, and 4 play. And this stuff starts way before you start unbuttoning buttons. You know what I mean? Like Lamar said, and Reggie said. One thing I think we need to talk about for men who are married is how you accomplish all this stuff when you have kids, when you have a job, when you have to find the time to have meaningful moments, together, and not just a quickie, a 5-minute session, a physical release. There are times when all of those things are important, And when you know how much time you have, and you know what time you got to get up, and you know when your kids are gonna come back from whatever. So, you know, this is there are different facets of this we have to explore as well.
Yeah, and I think the theme that we've heard so far, and I want Dom you to jump in, is just to really listen to our partner, and to establish intimacy in the very beginning without unbuttoning blouses and unzipping skirts, right? That stuff starts well before then. And foreplay can start with texting, can start with pictures, can start with all kinds of things before you get to the bedroom. So Dom, go ahead and jump in. I want us to kind of, finish this particular question and see if we got some questions from the audience.
Honestly, I mean, everybody touched on, pretty much every aspect of what we were talking about. I do agree. I do think that communication it has to be, the bridge, the gap bridger between, physical and emotional connections as far as intimacy. I actually heard a poet rapper one time that stuck with me, and I always think about it. He said, "The better my effort, the wetter her treasure is," and that's so true. Like if your effort is there, then the rest of it lays out. I think that communication does open up so many different doors, and arousal starts in the brain. So I can be, excuse my language, king dingaling in the bedroom, but it doesn't matter if I don't penetrate her mind first. If I can't, open her up first mentally, then no matter what I do physically, it could, physical is so temporary, but, emotional and mental aspect of everything lasts so much longer. I think that arousal lasts so much longer whenever we are on a mental and emotional connection with that person. That's why you don't get up afterwards when you have you have a physical connection and a mental connection with that person. That's why you can lay there. You guys can look each other now. You can be in that basking of that person, when it is more than just a physical aspect. Physical, I can get up on my pants when I'm out the door before you even blink. But when it's emotional, I can lay there with you. I can bask in that aroma of communication and intimacy and not get up. So I think everybody touched on everything, and I think that's pretty much all I had to say right there, man.
Don, that was a good point, man. And for all you ladies who are listening, when your man gets up after he's done and he jumps into the shower or he puts his clothes on to go do some work or leave the house, that he's robbing you of a very emotional experience, right? And so it doesn't mean that man is not for you, but I think Don raises a great point. It means that there needs to be communication. Maybe he was never taught that intimacy continues even after you come, right? And maybe he was never taught that to make you come first before he gets his, because I think Corey mentioned earlier when he said we're athletes, and so we're very domineering and we're very competitive, and in our minds we'll put in 25, 30, 35 minutes worth of work, and if we're satisfied with the amount of work that we put in, then we're done. Not even thinking about, did I give you what you needed? And so women, if men are jumping up out the bed quick, fast, in a hurry, it may just be a time for you to pull him back and say, hey, let's talk about this. Let's communicate. Because I need more than just you to come ejaculate and then get up and leave.
Hey, Jay, can I add something, bro?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I was thinking about something. My man, what's your name, bro? I have the pastor. Oh man, I can't see it. Okay, Corey, you said something, and I had a different. Since we're doing disclosure, I grew up a little different on that. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and a lot of my friends hustled. And their hustle was not what my hustle was. Their hustle was definitely the real deal. And one thing I learned early about relationships, and it wasn't really about beating it up or none of that. It was about asking you, how could I make this work for you? And it was a dope man mentality of, I'm going to give you something so amazing because you asked for this, that you're going to come back for it because I know you're going to like my product. You know what I'm saying? You're going to like my product. So really it became about, now it was manipulative, right? It wasn't about nurture, because really it was about me getting what I wanted and you not knowing it. But the reality of what it developed into was really an understanding that if I communicate intimacy with my partner, then I would find out she will share with me how I can support her. And that promotes her feeling safe, that promotes that trust, and then that promotes that release. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't really, you ain't gonna be able to experience that with me if you're not comfortable with me. and that's my job.
So Eric, Dr. Jake, if I can respond to that real quickly, I think, Eric, I kind of alluded to it and opened that portal a little bit last week, dealing with deep-rooted trauma. I think every man deals with a relationship. I don't want to say every man. I say most men enter into a relationship based upon what his relationship was with his mother or the women that helped rear him. And so if you came from my experience, who always sought after validation because of a torn relationship with my mother, or being molested by my older sister, so my perception of women was completely different. I didn't care whether you were satisfied. I was really seeking a validation. It wasn't about satisfying you, but more appeasing me. I was trying to fill that void in me.
I feel you, bro.
You follow what I'm saying? And so for me, it wasn't about you being satisfied. It was about, tell me that I'm good. Tell me that I'm worth something. Tell me that I perform well, because I didn't get that. So really, it was a 35-year-old man humping you, but really the engine of that 35-year-old man was a 6-year-old little broken boy.
Wow.
Right, that was seeking validation. And so I always was about performance, making people laugh, making people smile. And really women, and they thought it was the charisma, they thought it was me being a womanizer, but really it was that 6-year-old boy looking for his mother to tell him, baby, you're doing good.
That's powerful.
And it wasn't until I grew past that I was able to realize that I didn't have to perform to be accepted.
Yeah. You know, Corey, when you said, I just want to say this. I appreciate you sharing that. And you know, the crazy thing for me is sometimes I came from both my parents. I was the paper boy. I was homecoming king. Like I really had a Norman Rockwell, black people, Theo Huxtable kind of lifestyle.
Right.
And to be able to share that with people, that was weird for me.
Yeah.
You feel me? Because a lot of my friends didn't talk that way. Or most of my friends that in my community did. So even my perspective on women and stuff like that, I grew up with strong women who had a strong hustle. Like you would get robbed by my cousins, and it would be what it is. And I learned early there's a balancing act of it. There's equality in this.
Absolutely.
So how can I communicate with you? Because I know you will ball out strong. And if I could be a part of the team or you be a part of my team, so either you standing in front of me or I'm standing in front of you, or we standing next to each other, equally we will benefit from this. Let's get this money up. You know what I mean?
Right on.
Really what I'm saying is let's get this love up.
Yeah.
Let's do one more question on specs, and then we're going to kind of shift a little bit.
No, James.
Reggie, I want you to jump on this. I know that you have a little bit of time left with us. James asked, can one woman completely satisfy a man? And I'm assuming that you're talking about physical, because we have been talking just about sex, and so we'll try to focus just on the physical aspect piece to answer your question. But I think this question is very multi-layered. There's so many other things that we can discuss about this question. But gentlemen, Reggie, you start off. Can one woman completely, let's say, physically satisfy a man?
If she know what he likes, I'd say yeah. If she knows what he likes, I'd say yeah. But it's not just physical. I think just because I'm speaking from where I'm at now, where I'm not just seeking the physical, I want to have the conversation. I want a full experience. So I need some type of connection to go with that too. So that would be required to have with one woman.
Yeah.
But on a basic level, I'd say she knows what she likes, what he likes, and willing to do it.
Really quick, talk about the evolution though of what you like, because you did mention. I mean, we went to school together. I've known
what
you
I
since
like
you were
physically.
17. You know, I've known you almost half.
Oh shit!
You know, so let's talk about the evolution of the man for a second, because when we talk about fulfillment, you at 17, you at your age now, and then you 15 years from now, you know, how can we communicate or maintain what it is that we necessarily like, or will those likes change over time? Correct.
We're talking about physically? Okay. I mean, I feel like you got things that you just like. You know, everybody's willing to try new restaurants and stuff like that. But if you always tend to like a great burger with some sweet potato fries and milkshake, like that's your go-to. That's your go-to. You ain't all of a sudden after 10 years now you switch it out for spaghetti. Like your go-to is your go-to. So I feel like, yeah, you wanted to try different things, and if you like it, and you know what I mean, you like that, you know, that restaurant and that experience or whatever. But your go-to is your go-to. You got brothers that they just love titties. You got that dudes that, you know, they just more of an ass man. You don't hear the switch up after 10 years. You like what you like. So I'd say, you know, throughout the years, I've consistently liked what I like. But again, I'm speaking
we're gonna get
for
everybody
myself.
to jump in. Lamar, then Dom, because you guys are at the top of my screen, and then after Dom, Fred, Eric, and Corey.
Same question?
Yeah, Lamar, then Dom. Same question.
I'm over here just absolutely enjoying the conversation tonight because we have actually touched on some areas that we didn't really reach into on the last two nights, is dealing with a lot of things in our past and bringing things up now and how we would actually perform based on the things that was broken before. Trying to be as in our community the man. I think that's one of the things that we really struggle with. But to answer that question, yes, I believe there's one woman can completely satisfy a man. I don't think that there should be a lot of multiple and all of that. I don't really think that that's really the problem. I think the issues often comes when there's a problem, and because we don't communicate, because men don't communicate, then we seek after and we seek out and we start doing something different. Because there was a breakdown somewhere, then that brings in someone else, another partner, another issue, another situation, because we're looking for a certain level of comfortability. We're looking for a place where we can be safe. We're looking for a place where we can have what I hear a lot, peace.
That's true.
We're looking for a peaceful place.
Yes.
You can have a ride or die all day long. That's fine. And yes, you like what you like Reggie said. You like what you like. If you like this, it's not going to change over time. You like that, and that's what it's going to be. But I think there's more to that question that's there. And I think that we can kind of dive into that a little bit more. I'm gonna let the other fellas jump in on that, and I'll come back in a minute.
Okay, cool. John, go ahead and jump in. The physical piece. Is it possible for one woman to completely satisfy a man physically?
I think so. I think a fulfilled man, one woman can satisfy a fulfilled man. But I think, a lot of the times when men are, unfulfilled or they're broken, then she can't. She's trying to patch up a hole with a Band-Aid. You can't do that. But when you find a man who is fulfilled within himself, and that one woman can be more than satisfying, I think that she can open up different doors in him, and she can allow him to see potential that he does not know that he has. But yes, I do think one woman can satisfy a man, but like, what Reggie said and Dr. Staples, you like what you like. And I think that you always go back to that because of the sense of comfort. But yes, one woman can satisfy a man if he's fulfilled.
Okay. So we're going to throw a monkey wrench in because I think Fred, Eric, and Corey, all of y'all married. And so after marriage, right? So before marriage, your girlfriend, your fiance, your partner, maybe gave you, crazy head all the time whenever you wanted it, right? And then after marriage, then it changed. You probably get head maybe on your anniversary or your birthday. At least those some of the that I heard, right? So what do you do with those men who are married? What do you do when you have, in this case, both ways, when you have things you desire, things you want, and you had it in your marriage, and you don't have it anymore?
You lay down the law, bro. You just set some rules,
I think I need what Eric drinking. I don't know what Eric drinking, but I think I need what Eric drinking. It's just
it's so Cabernet. It's so Cabernet. It's so Cabernet. It's a new wine. It's a new wine, bro.
Lord have mercy.
I actually refrain because I wanted to behave myself and not use foul language. But I want to explore that and also add on to the question that you asked earlier about can one woman satisfy a man? We assume that we're talking about a meaningful relationship between a man and woman who value each other in the relationship. So and not a one night stand, or we're talking about meaningful relationships here, where people intend to invest in each other. And that's what you have to do if you expect a woman to satisfy you. And I think if you are invested in a woman, and there may be things that she's uncomfortable with, or for whatever reason, she's not living up to your expectations of a lover, there's some leeway that I think that maybe should be afforded people if you care about them. I mean, you can't be just 100% demanding in a relationship and then expect you must do this or you must perform up to this certain standard. If that's what it takes for you to be happy in a relationship, you're going to be sorely disappointed at all times. Because I bet the pastor will agree with me. If you're looking to be made 100% happy by any human, you're going to be disappointed. So you have to approach a relationship with some realistic expectations. And in time, if someone finds you valuable enough in your relationship, they'll make adjustments to help to please you. So I do believe that one woman can make the right man physically happy. Like one woman will be motivated to make the right man physically happy. But you have to be that guy, and you can't approach your situation with threats of you either do this or I'm going to do that, or you got to do this, or I'm not going to do this or that or whatever. You have to grow together, I think, and there has to be communication. As far as life before marriage and whatnot, I'll go back to what Eric was saying about growing up in a two-parent home, having strong female influences. I grew up in a two-parent home, had hardworking parents, college graduate parents, educators, accomplished folks who spoiled me, did everything, worked hard to provide whatever. I was very fortunate in that I had a mother who, unfortunately, had a husband who wasn't emotive, who wasn't, his idea of being a good husband was being a good provider, not being somebody who was a good listener, not being patient. He was a great father and patient, but the things that she lacked in her relationship, she shared with me and gave me those, always be this way towards your wife. Always do this for your wife. Always do so-and-so. Always do so-and-so. And I saw examples of how it was missing in her life. So as a result, she tells me, my wife tells her, I'm a great husband. And I have my mother to thank for that. If in fact, my wife truly believes that. When it comes to making each other physically happy, she's come a long way. And I say that jokingly because she had to learn me. I say that jokingly because she's in the other damn room. And
you better clean that up, preacher.
Sure.
No, but I say that because she had to learn me and I had to learn her. This is a whole lot about communication, guys, really, and understanding each other. And that's not an easy task for two sexes or two genders that speak an entirely different language. It took me forever to realize when I was younger that at 12:30 in the morning, when my wife started walking up the stairs and said, I'm going to bed, it didn't mean she was necessarily going to sleep. It meant, if you're interested, you better get your ass up and make haste, because in like 30 minutes of being up here, I'm really going to bed. It took me forever to realize that when we went to bed and I was sitting there hoping she would reach up and grab my crotch, if she touched my foot with her foot, it was on. Here I am, Joe Sausagehead, waiting for a sign. We communicate differently. And there are brothers who may have women who lead you up the stairs to the bedroom by your crotch. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? If you got that kind of sign, good for you. But you got to be paying attention. You got to be willing to learn. You know what I mean? And you got to understand that we're not speaking the same language.
Yeah. Communication is key, man. That's so important. Eric, go ahead, jump in, then Corey.
Yeah, brother. I think, I've been married 17 years. And so my wife married a dude that learned how to be a psychotherapist through, our marriage, right? And I think that one of the things that in regards, so let me answer that question. Yes, I do believe one woman can satisfy a man physically. I think also if I can only talk, I can talk about it from a research base, but I'll just say it from my own personal experience. I think that because I was jaded and overindulgent, I would say to say the least, overindulgent in that physical part of the relationship, like whatever, to have someone who wanted to be my friend, to have someone who wanted to communicate with me, to have someone who just really liked my personality. That was, honestly, I can't even front on you. Like, I wish in my mind, I wish the sex life was different. In my mind, I do. But the reality is the fact that my partner is willing to talk with me about some shit and actually like me, I can't even front on you. Like, that's so dope to me because I don't have people hit me off with the headshot or, you know what I'm saying, like real quick, let's hit this, boom. Man, that shit, that's nothing. To have someone know, for me to know that I'm safe with you, to have me know that you don't care about me performing, you care about my spirit.
Wow.
That shit is dope to me. Pussy ain't shit. Let me just keep it 100. It ain't nothing. What is something is a woman. And I dig it. That's it.
Okay, Corey.
So I just had to take a moment to see if I was going to be controversial or if I was just going to be a straight shooter.
I'll pour you a glass to Eric.
So I'm known to be controversial, so I will be controversial. But first, I want to answer the question. The first thing I want to say is this: yes, I think that one woman. I think Dom said it great when he said it very simplistically that if a man is whole, if a man is healed, if a man is fulfilled within himself, then absolutely one woman can fulfill that man. For the record, I'm not married, but I am engaged. I was married for 13 years. I'll be getting married here again in about 2 months. And I'll just say this. Yeah, I think, yes, absolutely, that woman can satisfy you if, like Eric said, she is concerned about your spirit, your soul, your physicality. If, like Frederick said, you take the time to learn each other and you're patient with each other, absolutely, you can. Now, if that man is not all of those things and he's yet to learn those things, then absolutely not. One woman won't satisfy you. Not even one woman at a time will satisfy you. That is something you got to deal with internally. Now, I do want to say this because we've been a little too peaceful and chum and gung-ho on this podcast here today and giving women a lot of credit. And let me just say this. Woo, God, I don't know if I should say this. Let me just.
Oh, here we go.
This is what Lamar been waiting on.
Let me just say this, man.
Ready.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all, man. And God has really changed me. But I didn't knock down a whole bunch of women that was in relationships with men that kept them emotionally safe but didn't perform well in the bedroom. I didn't knock out a whole bunch of chicks that got a good dude that they on social media holding hands and high-fiving. And back in my heyday, we was, in the 2 for 20 because I was fulfilling that need that wasn't being fulfilled at home. Now, that may sound callous and may sound cold, but there are some women that know how to play the role. And they say that they're satisfied with not being satisfied because they go off and be satisfied. Now, I know that may not be popular. And like I told Staples, they may not invite me to preach at the church. I may not be on the podcast with Eric for therapy, but I'm just gonna keep it a buck. It happens. And so I think let's not skate over performance being significant. You still gotta perform. You can't just be like, oh, I satisfy her emotionally and I keep her safe. Because I know some women that don't work. In my past, it didn't work. There was home wives. Men paid all the bills. They took trips, and she still called me once a week.
And Corey, you talk about the physical aspect, man. I mean, we all keep it in 100 tonight. There have been times in my distant past where I've certainly entertained married women because they were missing the emotional piece. So you talk about the physical piece, right? And so it wasn't that the man wasn't putting it down at home. It was because I can be safe and emotional with you, then you can also have this cookie. Right. But again, the man never knew. The man never knew. And so, women, are certainly better at it than we are when they decide to step out. They clean up all their tracks. They're able to disguise themselves and make life at home seem really, really, really good. But to your point, Corey, they can almost live this double life. And it's not pointing any finger. And I'm just as much to blame as she was. I'm not trying to say that I was wrong or right for doing what I did, because it was certainly wrong. But it just showed me that there were individuals, women out here and men, who are willing to live a double life to have a level of fulfillment instead of what I'm hearing all of you tonight communicate.
So Jay, can I ask you a question, man? I know this is off topic, and forgive me, brother, but I was literally just having this conversation with my fiance yesterday, and I said the problem is, Jay, when we have been who we've been in our past, it makes us not trust women.
Correct.
And now we were the bad guys as well.
Right.
We were the bad, like you said. We take full responsibility for not operating with integrity and character.
Full responsibility.
But when you one of the things that I struggled with, if I'm very transparent on this podcast, is that I'm going to get married and I love her. I mean, Fred, like, I love this woman.
Yeah.
But part of what made me fear Dr. Staples was me feeling maybe that the karma of me doing some things that I've done in my past may come back and haunt me. And then juxtaposed to some of these women know how to play the role. They can act satisfied at home.
Yes,
but be getting broken off, because I was the breaker offer. And Jay, you just said something so key. It's not something that is just simplistic as the physicality. Sometimes if you are not fulfilling emotionally, and I'm sorry, 10 seconds and I'll be quiet. Fred was talking. It was either Fred or Eric. And I was convicted because even the last week, I got a trucking company and a tax business. And sometimes we can be so busy doing what we do that we're not ever paying attention to that emotional necessity of that woman.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if you ignore that too long, then it can put you in a position of where you're vulnerable in your relationship, even if you are putting it down in the bedroom. So I'm glad you brought that up, man. That's real talk.
Yeah, and the emotional piece is so key. We don't really lean into it as much, because to Corey, your point earlier about how you were raised, single parent home, but then we also have Eric and Frederick, talk about 2-parent homes, right? So the dynamic of all of our experiences is different. So we enter into the relationship, very different. And so the karma, Corey, I've already said to myself, all that I've done is deserved to happen to me. So I'm already bracing myself. Even if she says, I'll never do. In my mind, I'm saying to myself, but I have already done. So that coming back on me may very well happen. And so I have to already think to myself, I need to respond differently than how my carnal man wants to respond.
Right.
Because my carnal man is like, man, let me pack my bags. I'm getting the hell out of here. But the reality is I have been doing this for so long. So it's built up in me, this reserve of forgiveness and deeper communication than I've ever had before.
That's good.
Let me throw a question out there real quick, because I know we got some folk that, you guys are very astute and educated and all of that wonderful good stuff. But I want to throw this out there concerning the area of karma. So do we worry about the karma side of it? Do we really worry about that side of it? And how can we really have a healthy relationship if we're always worried about the things that we've already done in our past?
That's a good question.
Do we get stuck in our past, or do we figure out a way to forgive, forget, throw into the sea of forgetfulness, and walk on and keep moving and just start to develop that level of trust that's needed? Because in the relationship, if you don't have that level of trust, you don't have a relationship.
Right.
Where Eric at? Because I know
I'm right here.
I know Eric gonna say something.
I was gonna say something, man, Lamar. I think that you said something that's really. I think worry is, if you think about worry in itself, and I was gonna pull something up on my computer here. That Dr. Wayne Dyer said, man, worry is like this nightmare hallucination. Like it's a hallucination. To worry about something, or to worry about my karma, is to put it into play in my relationship, because I am now making that a variable in the equation.
That's good, man.
Here's the variable in the equation that needs to be there. In the present moment, I will check in with my partner and communicate with them about their well-being and ask for reciprocal nature. I will not ask her to respect me in the way that she wants to be respected. I will ask her to respect me in the way that I need to be respected. And I will ask her, because I'm a dude and I'm strong enough, I will ask her, how can I support you? How can I help you feel safe? And if I can do those things, I ain't got to worry about no freaking karma, because I'm in the present moment. You know what I'm saying? If I'm in the future, right? I got one leg in the future and I got one leg in the past. I'm shooting on the present moment, shooting all over it. This is how it should be. Instead of me saying, how are you doing today, Em? What can I do for you today? My wife will go to a wine party. I'm like, my favorite thing to say to my wife is, have fun, be safe.
Absolutely.
Call me if you need me.
Yep.
I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I know right there, that's the mind sex right there, bro.
Right on.
She know I got her. And I can't worry about this other thing. And here's the crazy thing. My daughter just popped her head in here, hearing me talk like this. And because she know I think this way, she know what the fuck it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, let it be known. Bring a gump up in this junk. I'm a shit on him, because he already know you pretending to be a dude and not exploring what it is to be a dude.
Murph, that's good. Hey, Freddie, go ahead, jump in.
She popped her head in here. I had to hit her.
Go ahead, Fred.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I feel bad. It's concerning, and because I'm thinking I would hate for you guys to let this, karma be a self-fulfilling prophecy, because, the first obstacle that you face, the first stray phone call, or who was that, or where'd that gift come from, or who's this dude at work, you seem awful friendly with this guy, that, you got another happy hour after work. You know what I mean? Rather than putting the work into your relationship, looking for red flags that something is going wrong is a huge distraction from the work you have to put into having a successful relationship. And part of that work is an abundance of trust. Because I'm here to tell you, and all of you guys know this by now as a reality, you have to trust somebody. Right? You're not going to get through the day. When you're in the crossroad, you have to trust that the car approaching, that fool's gonna stop, or you don't walk out there. You have to trust the people preparing your food, that they're not in the back doing something easier. And it might be. You have.
He said, what did he say? He said, yeah. He said, I said, how did you make it? He simply told me that, I always tell her yes. It's yes, ma'am. Whatever it is, I just say yes. That's how he made it. He made it 50 years by simply saying yes. So in that yes is loaded with a lot of information. Yes, I'm going to take care of everything that's going on. Yes, I'm going to protect you. Yes, I'm going to provide for you. Yes, I'm going to make sure that you're secure. Yes, I have a place that you can come talk to. Yes, I'm committed to you. Yes, it's big in his word yes. Mm-hmm. He simply just said yes. The same thing he said the day that he stood in front of the altar and the preacher and said yes to, yes, I will. Yes, I do. He continued to say yes.
That's good. Lamar, really quick, in all those yeses, and I'm just now drawing this correlation, and I'm glad that you brought that up. In all these yeses, have you found that the things that you desired were fulfilled because you say yes?
That's loaded. That's a loaded question.
Yeah, you brought it up, brother. So I figured there must be some correlation, because if you're standing on the platform that yes, then I'm assuming that all those yeses meant to a lot of the things that dreams, desires, aspirations that you have is being fulfilled as well.
Well, the moment that you say yes, the moment that you say yes to her and give her everything and cater to her every need, then it turns around to where she does not have a problem with catering to you. She does not have an issue with catering to you. And the moment that you have given her everything and now she does not give you everything, now that's a whole nother that's a whole nother show that I think we probably need to talk about some other time. But But yeah, that's something right there. She will ultimately begin to cater to you and give you all of your dreams. Make sure that the things that you desire, she will make it her business to make it happen.
Wow,
That's good.
wow.
Because now I got her back and she got my back. She trusts me, I trust her. She loves me, I love her. You know what I'm saying? It's that whole give and take type relationship. And in that give and take relationship, the moment that you said yes and the moment that you provided is the same moment that now she says, you know what is it that he really loves? What is it that he really wants? What is it that he really desires that I can make happen, that I can push? Because one, a real man got to be able to be married to a real woman. It will never work if you got somebody that's fake. You have to be able to be married to somebody that's real and that's going after the same goals that you're going after, serving the same. You know, it's a whole unequally yoked piece as well if you play with that. But, you know, I don't want to jump into that. I'm going to let Corey play with that because, you know, Corey the man. And we kind of go from there.
Lamar, you know what? That was so powerful because you talked about the investment on the man, right? Because we spend so much time asking women to give without us making an investment. And what picture you just painted is men make the investment and then watch your investment grow, watch your dividends, get bigger and bigger. Watch your earnings, increase, watch your land expand. But I think the problem with a lot of us men is we ain't willing to make that initial investment.
No, see, most of us are scared to make the initial investment for a couple of different reasons, and hopefully we don't go over too much time. One of the reasons we don't really make the initial investment is because we are scared of our real truth. Often we are scared of our real truth is because we have not dealt with the issues that we have had in the past. So therefore, we don't trust ourselves to give that information to somebody else because we haven't dealt with it and we don't know how to handle it. And since we don't know how to handle it, we can't trust that they can handle it as well. So now we think that they're going to look at us differently because we are now sharing something that we have not gone to counseling. We have not dealt with ourselves. We have not even prayed unto God concerning the stuff that we're really dealing with. So since we can't trust ourselves, now we have a problem with trying to trust somebody else by giving them that information.
That's good.
Really, truly opening up.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Dom, jump in there. I know you're not married yet, but is there a right time how to go in?
Lamar.
I personally don't think that there's a right time to get married because if you're okay, I say this for the first timers, I don't think there's ever a right time because I believe in you can't be ready for something that you've never done. That's just my personal belief. Not saying that you aren't doing all the work to put in to get married or to make that commitment, but I do think the act itself, I don't think you're really ready because, like I've heard all of you that are married or in long relationships that you develop new experiences, you become a new person, you become a different person. So I don't think you can personally be ready for the new person that you're about to become, but you can just anticipate it. So I do think that I don't think there is a right time to get married, but I do think that, what was the second part of that question, Jay?
How do you know when?
I think that you're ready to make that full commitment as for yourself. And then, I think the person that you've invested in all the time and energy into, I think that that they're ready. But I don't think the act itself you can be ready for. And that's just, my personal opinion. But I do believe that when you're ready to make that full commitment as far as taking the leap, taking the risk, doing something that is scary, something that it does make you nervous. I think you're ready to take a risk. I don't think that you're ready. I don't think you can ever get ready to be married until you actually are married and getting into and finding out who you are, finding out who that person is. Because like I've heard Dr. Staples and other people who are married, you change, that person changes, the relationship changes, sometimes for the good, sometimes for the bad, but that all comes within that that timing that you're on that journey together.
Dom, I like how you framed it, ready to take a risk, right? And so if you're not a risk taker, just period in life, right? You're going to some trepidation making a decision to say I do. So you've got to get to the place where you could take a risk. And I think Fred said it earlier, you're willing to put your heart on the line, you may win and you may lose. And I think, again, back to Lamar's point, that's an investment we're so afraid to make because we know that there's a potential of us losing. There's a potential of us not coming out on top. And as competitors, as athletes, as conquerors, we can't imagine not being on top. So that's exactly great what you said, Dom. Corey, really quick, I know you said you've had 13 years into a prior marriage. Now you're engaged. I'd love to hear you talk about lessons you've learned in marriage and lessons you are taking with you to your new relationship.
Yeah, so I'm glad Dom said what he said, and I completely agree with Staples just about the investment piece. I think the last time I got married, it was a bad marriage, not because I had a bad wife. What I think it was because it was bad timing. I think the reason I got married was because I succumbed to the pressures of religion, as Staples was talking about. So I wasn't ready. Beautiful person. We're really good friends now, but I've grown and I've evolved to be a different person because of success and failure in life. I do want to have a little pushback, and I think Dom kind of segued me into this to what Fred said. I disagree with you when you say that if you're afraid to marry someone, you shouldn't marry them. I think that that's the perfect position to be in, because you are entering into a new situation, you are entering into a new journey, and you don't want to fail. I think vulnerability is something that is so challenging for men, and so when you position yourself to be vulnerable, which means I come from a culture where I always held on to some level of control so that I couldn't be hurt too much. But when you're going into this relationship where you're completely vulnerable, this person has the potential to completely crush you because you're giving them your full heart, your full life. You're giving them access, as Staples just said, to areas that you haven't exposed to many people. You're going home and you taking that armor off, and I think there was a book that said, even in the book of Genesis, it talked about being naked and unashamed. And so it is a scary place to go. It is a very, I'll just stick with the word scary, but yet while scared, excited at the same time, looking forward to the new journey, looking forward to the new adventures, looking forward to just growing together. And so to the question is, when do you know? I think you just know when you know. And I think once you know, I think you start making a decision and making provisions to move forward in marriage, just like I did. And so, because to what Dom said, you don't know what's on the other side of that, And when I say that, I could get married tomorrow, God forbid, and cancer happens, or an accident happens, or a death happens. And so, yeah, it is scary because you don't know, because this is a person that now you've made a decision that as long as I've got breath in my lungs, I want to live the rest of my life with you. And once we say I do, I can't control what happens. And maybe back to Eric, the therapist, maybe it's a control mechanism, but I just believe that is the safest place to be, in a place where all you can do is trust. All you can do is walk and say, look, I'm hoping and praying that we gonna make this thing happen together, as Staples said, and maybe I extrapolated that karma thing with too much passion. I'm not concerned about it, but I wanted to raise the point that when you've done some things, you've seen some things, you have to hit a major master reset on your mind as you enter into a new journey in life. And so I think when you know, you know.
I like that.
Huh?
I said master reset. I like that, Corey.
You got to hit a master reset, man, because if you don't, it will plague you. Because I think, like Eric said, or maybe it was Fred said, you're going to it looking for something, making something that ain't really nothing, because you ain't hit the master reset. And so when you hit that master reset and you're ready, I think you should just go for it. And Fred said it. It ain't no fine print. It's flat out, till death do you part, through sickness and through health, better for worse. And so that is a lifetime commitment. Whether I'm happy with you, mad with you, upset, sex is good, whatever. Because the sex could be great today and tomorrow she could have a hysterectomy. The sex can be great today and tomorrow she can have a physical ailment that she's not able to perform. Is your love greater than the capacity of sexual performance? Absolutely it is. And when you get to that place where you love that person, whether they breath stink, they feet funky, they overweight, credit is bad, I just love you, that's when you know you're ready to get married.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Fred, go ahead, jump in, and then Eric.
Oh, I liked what Lamar was saying about, I don't know if you realize he was saying it in this way, but what I saw was very scriptural in what he was saying. He was talking about basically a man submitting to his wife. In the Bible, it speaks of women should be, and women have a problem with this a lot of times, women should be submissive to their husbands. But it doesn't really say outright why or how a man should treat his wife, except to say that a man, in Proverbs, I think it says, a man should treat his wife the way Christ felt about the church, which Christ loved, right? Us, the church, Christ, the Christians, he loved the church. So it shouldn't be a stretch for a woman to submit to a man who loves her with that type of determination, with that type of vim and vigor. You know what I mean? Like Lamar was saying, if you're that type of man, a woman would do anything to please you, right? To that, I say as well, my spiritual foundation has been the thing that has gotten my wife and me through sickness and health, good times and bad, confusion, raising kids. I mean, my knees are so ashy, bro. You could strike a paper match on my kneecap. You understand? You can wet it. You can wet it. Ask Parker. You know who I'm talking about, Jay. You can strike a wet paper match on my knees, man. But I'm telling you, through it all, what's preached in the Bible is submission and humility. And that's probably one of the greatest traits two people can have in a relationship is a vigorous search for humility, because pride is the biggest killer of anything in your relationships. And just like Lamar was saying, like Corey was saying, it's all this baggage and the shit that we have that we can't talk about because of pride, because it makes us look small, it makes us look inadequate, it makes us look weak, it makes us look, it's pride. All right. In your relationship, and this is one thing that I have found, and I'll preface it by saying that being right all the damn time is highly overrated. So the search for being right in your relationship about shit like carpet color, I mean, half the stuff that you probably argue about in your crib, it's like, do you like this? Yes, Lamar. What do you think about this? It's fine, you know, because it don't matter. The other thing is this: the argument. There's nothing wrong with arguing. Arguing is a vigorous expression of differences of opinions. But there's a way to argue and a way not to argue, to demean your partner, to try to make them feel bad, to talk about somebody rather than expressing your point of view, and either you get it or you don't, and then you can continue to talk about it. You have to learn how to talk amicably, express your opinion, and stop trying to win in your relationship, because every time some fucking body wins, somebody's got to lose. And if you love and care about the woman that you're with, why in the absolute hell would you ever want her to lose anything?
That's good, Fred. That's good.
Stop trying to win. You have to win. Your marriage, you as a couple have to always win. Not you, not her. And you may have to set the example, but your relationship has to win.
Yeah.
That's good, Fred. Yo, Eric, I'm gonna put you in the same position that Anthony Davis was in the other night, man. When they wrote the play up for LeBron James and he just wasn't open. Anthony Davis came off the screen with 2 seconds left and ended up pulling the Lakers to victory. So to bring us home, man, want to know your thoughts on all this.
I think one of the things, Corey and Fred, you guys made some really good points, and I think that one of the things I would say to you is, I believe that a lot of times people believe that you have to have courage in the absence of fear, right? Like, I discovered courage, I'm like, I'm good. But I'm a firm believer in, I walk with fear and I find courage. You feel me? Like, all right, I'm scared of shit, but I'm going to keep moving. You feel me? Like, and I'm a wrestler, that's my sport. All I know is if you don't move, you dead. That's what I know. And I'm scared the whole time, but as I keep moving forward, I find like, damn, like, I'm okay. I'm the shit. I'm kind of the shit when I put my effort into me. And I think that when it comes down to marriage, and I'm being disclosing, my wife, I love her dearly. And I've been married to her for 17 years now. She is not the woman I thought I'd marry. I fell in love with a friend who loved me. And what's crazy is I dated a lot of women in my life. And one of the things I found is I said, one day I was like, damn, I'm going to find me somebody different than her that's just like her. And I was like, damn, I sound like a freaking asshole. I love her. And she loves me. And she don't love this. She don't love this. she loves something deeper than that. And I love that too. And if I could share that with you and you can share you with me, I believe that what I have found is interdependence, where I can lean on you and you will lean on me. There is no codependence. There is no independence. There is us leaning on each other to create something beautiful. So I believe it's just about making the choice, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, anymore, if you think about it, dudes be talking crazy. They talk crazy and they say, I'm just emotional. No, that's that hyper femininity. That's a whole nother conversation. The real deal is if when I make a choice as the man that I am, the choice to love my woman, I see, you know what, I love her. And I will make a choice to make her, she's going to be my woman. And I'm going to be her man. And through this, I know that I do not know. And I will choose to explore her as I explore me.
That's good.
That was the most vulnerable shit I could do. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. That's not even trying to sound like spiritual and shit. I was really thinking this surface performance stuff is something that's okay. How can I actualize what I think I am?
Mm-hmm. That's
How
good.
Can I actualize that?
Before we close out, I want to have all of us just have a few last words. I just want to thank again Keisha Ward from Red Virtual Solutions Assistance for being our sponsor tonight, providing administrative support to all. I have had the privilege and pleasure of hiring an executive assistant from Red Virtual Solutions Assistance. If you are in need of a personal assistant, administrative assistant, or executive assistant, please holler at Keisha Ward. The number is there. Those who are watching by web, you'll receive 10% off of services using the code OVIA and the number 10. Keisha Ward, thank you for being our sponsor tonight. Fellas, this has been, I mean, we've gone over time, but this has been super, super informative tonight. We put on some heavy hitters from all across the globe, men who have been married 10, 20, 30 plus years, those of us who are looking to be married for the first time. I just really think that we have to have more of these types of discussions, right? I honestly spent the last 6 days since we've been apart, and let me say this, emotionally, I have missed each of you throughout the week because there is this level of vulnerability that I found safe to be able to talk to other men about things that I'm experiencing, right? We go through our whole week. We got businesses. Some of you run churches. Some of you have your own companies and stuff. And you don't get a chance to be vulnerable, right? And so it's been 6 days since I've been able to be around men and be this level of vulnerability. So I just appreciate us being able to share this space for the last 3 weeks. It's something that we got to continue doing. Someone put in a comment last week, we got to even consider doing a virtual men's conference, and not a men's conference how we've seen it done before, you know, where it's just so placated with all the person does is talk, but doesn't give a chance for the audience to have interaction. Like, we got to change the game. We got to be able to provide a space for people to be able to ask questions in real time, a space for us to agree and disagree. I love the fact that as men, we can say on this call, brother, you know, I appreciate what you're saying, but I disagree, and here's why.
Yeah.
Without fighting, right? Without trying to come at somebody's neck, and without being upset and mad and not speaking for days. Like, that's crazy because our experiences are all different. But there's value in our experiences. And we don't know whoever's watching us, depending upon who's on the internet, it's our experiences that they're drawing from. Someone pulled something from Corey tonight. Someone pulled something from Fred tonight. Lamar, you know, Dom and Eric. Like, somebody's pulling something from you all. Even though your experiences are different, we don't have to always agree. So I just wanted to say that. But let's have just some final words, man. I'm still surprised, even at 9:45 East Coast time, that we still got, you know, 3 different platforms and several hundred people are still on listening, and they haven't gone anywhere, which lets me know that this has been some valuable information. So I just want to give all of you just a couple of minutes to kind of share some parting words. Next week, those who are watching, we are going to bring some of the ladies back and have a conversation with some of the men. I think that'll be a very good opportunity for us to have some great dialogue, as Fred mentioned earlier, between a creature like us, but doesn't think or communicate the same way, right? There'll be some very interesting dialogue next week. But yeah, please share any last minute thoughts, Lamar, Dom, Corey, Fred, and then Eric.
We're gonna make sure that Corey got something in his cup next week, since we're gonna involve some other folks. Because that cup been empty for 2 weeks straight, and I'm trying to figure out what he been drinking. I don't know what's in the cup. I don't know. We're gonna say it's just Jesus. Amen. Somebody. I want to thank all of those that's been watching on every platform. All of those have been watching via the shared party that I did on Facebook. Thank all of them for all the comments. Jay, you got to go back and read all these comments, man. It's been absolutely wonderful. Everybody saying that they wanted to do it all over again, want this to continue because there's information that's needed, and just to be able to see how real men talk and able to open up and be vulnerable without it being an argument. One of these days, and if we ever have an opportunity to do so, I would love to try to pull out some of the underlying issues, some of the father-son relationship issues, some of the mother-son relationship issues that cause your relationship with your family, with your wife to go disarray because you didn't get the things that you needed when you were growing up, or some things that was missed. Because there are some, because Corey alluded to some things tonight concerning some stuff that happened when he was younger. I too had the same type of situation when I was younger. And I would love to sit there and we can really dialogue and really go through some situations and talk about all of these things that will actually make your relationship healthier in the long run.
That's right.
Healthier in the long run, to be able to develop a safe place that you can actually have a real conversation and invest in the investment that's going to hold you for the rest of your life. Fred said something that got me together, and I really loved it. He said, we have to submit to each other. It's not just submitting, the women submitting to the men, but men must submit to the women, and then the men must be willing. As Christ loved the church, Christ died for the church, so we must be willing to die for them. I love you. I'll leave you right there. And last thing, it also says in the word, take wrong for the sake of peace. I leave it right there. Take wrong for the sake of peace. Ain't no need arguing about the color of the carpet, as Fred said. You just wasting time.
Right on.
Brazil.
Yeah, go ahead, Don.
Like first and foremost, I am so thankful to be, mentioned on this panel with so many amazing minds. I personally took a lot from this, not only as a man, but a man in a young relationship. So to me, I truly appreciate, all the different insights from all of you guys and all the viewers that were commenting and sending the questions in, and Jay for orchestrating this. I would say just as a 29-year-old man, I don't get a lot of mentorship from my peers. I have to seek it from, older people, older men, Black men in particular. So to me, I'm truly grateful, because it's detrimental to me at my age to get guidance, to get, some type of mentorship, because I am on my way to I'm still running my journey. I'm still, developing my journey. I'm shifting, I'm moving. So in transition, to have guidance in transition is everything. So I truly appreciate this, from my standpoint. So, I got nothing else to say, man.
It's been great having you on, Dom. I mean, your experience, man. I mean, it just reminds all of us of where we were at 29. And I tell you, Dom, you are in a better place than I was at 29. Man, I think about 29 right now, brother. And I think about, man, if I didn't have some people pulling me out the pit that I put myself in, I don't even know that I would be putting this platform together right now. So, you at 29, man, and you having some strong men like that are on this panel, only speaks volumes about where you're headed. Super excited about that. All right, Corey, talk to us.
Hey, so Staples, I'm about to have a preacher moment, so just bear with me. But I won't.
Let's ride. I'm in Amen Corner. Let's go. I'm with you.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take you out around the corner, come drop you back off at the podcast. I'm listening to you all, and I'm thinking about, this is something very personal that I haven't shared on any platform, so I'm gonna share this with you. It's about self-development. It's about self-accountability. So I'm going through a custody battle right now, and with every custody battle, you go through what's called a custody evaluation. And after the custody evaluation, the evaluator called my attorney. My attorney called me and gave me the results. And this is what she said. She said, Corey, the custody evaluator said that your home is a safe place for your son. It's a healthy place for your son. And it's a place that she would completely recommend that he stay in, except for the fact his mom has more structure. And she said the way we found structure is I asked your son what his chores were at your house, and he couldn't tell me by detailed list what his chores were, but he could give me a detailed list with his mom. And the younger Corey, the 29-year-old Corey, the 35-year-old Corey, even the 40-year-old Corey would have got offended, would have defended myself. But instead, I stopped and I thought about it. And I said, you know what? In all actuality, she's right. And I didn't stop there. What I did, Fred, and what I did, Lamar, you'd be proud, is that I took a journey down my upbringing. And I realized that part of the reason that I didn't have structure, I didn't understand structure because my father wasn't around. My mom left me to take care of my brothers. And when I started having my children, in effort for my kids to not feel the way I felt, I became the fun dad.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a structured person. I didn't really care what time you went to bed. I was just excited for you to be there. I was just excited for you to be in my life. And I didn't give structure. And then I had to realize through this custody evaluator that while I was trying to be the fun dad, I was really crippling my children because I was teaching them how to live a life without structure. And so sometimes in life, when we're talking about being a man, when we're talking about manhood, we have to sometimes take that journey and deal with that underdeveloped or undeveloped part of you and take some accountability and say, you know what, this is why I've been that way. Instead of being defensive with your wife or defensive with your fiance or even defensive with your boss and trying to make excuses, how about we stop and we reevaluate our journey and see if there's any truth to the accusation. Is there any truth to you being selfish or being pompous or being arrogant or being emotionally unavailable? And if that's the case, where did that originate from?
Right.
And so one of the best things that could have happened to me was for that custody evaluator to tell me that, and for not to be defensive, because in my mind, I thought this is just a reason for me to lose my case. But really, I was winning my manhood. I was winning over my childhood trauma. And I realized that now I've got to be better than what I've been for 43 years. And I cannot continue to make the excuses that I've made in my past, but I've got to take accountability and start from here being better.
That's powerful, Corey. Accountability, man. That's powerful, man.
Yeah.
God.
Well, Corey done left us stuck again.
No, I don't know if you were waiting for me. Maybe I was the one that was stuck, but that was very powerful, and it was powerful in the degree of self-disclosure for one, and I appreciate it. It's like being a part of this discussion has like warp speed type of a friendship builder, because it's rare that you don't just have a beer with guys and have this type of self-discussion, full disclosure of issues that are personal disease. What you were talking about, Corey, is the embrace of humility, the kind of humility that would allow you to have the type of introspection and honest introspection to let you look really objectively at yourself and face personal flaws, you know, and not to mean that in a negative way, but just personal failings, and then overcome them. And in my parting words, I would like to first thank Jason for inviting me, and you guys for putting up with me. It was a privilege, man, and special, and a real pleasure to be a part of this panel. It's always a pleasure to see Black men represented so well, so intelligently, to see what the future of Black America can be. And we need to talk about that. You guys have probably already talked about race, and also talked about what it means to be a man. One thing during the scope of the discussion about sex and relationships and marriage, we sort of played around with it, but in our relationships and in the way we communicate with women, it's a delicate balance that we strike between being assertive, being aggressive when we need to be aggressive, not with our wives, but in a protective role. Because I think women don't want to be treated as if they are fragile and victims. But I think they still want a man to be a man and feel responsible for their protection, for their safety, for their financial and psychological and emotional and physical safety. But there's a delicate balance that you strike, and you need to read your woman, what kind of woman she is, and learn to be a man in your relationship, not a man as far as what the world or your neighbors or your buddies think is a man. But that's something that we need to explore, I think. But the last things we talked about, I think the crust of it was just humility in relationships, and surrendering your pride and seeing yourself in an honest way, in your relationships in an honest way, whether it's with men or with your friends or with the women in your lives, but to submit, and to realize that to submit is actually to win, because with pride comes a whole lot of baggage, man. With pride, you put a whole lot of expectations on yourself that are not fair to you and not fair to your spouse. It's not fair to ask somebody to be everything that you think that they can be, right? You can't even be everything that God wants you to be. So who made you God? Why would you think that you have the right to expect a woman to be everything that you think they should be? Or why would any man think, or woman for that matter, think that they have the right to try to mold someone in the image of what they think is perfect, right? I think in our relationships, we have to realize that we're all flawed. And like I said earlier, stop trying to win individually, but try to win in our relationships, period.
Yo, Fred, I appreciate that, man. It's great to have you on, good brother. Eric, man, bring us home.
Well, I just want to say I'm mad that I didn't get to be here the last couple of weeks, man. You know what I'm saying? That this seemed like this would have been like dope to be a part of. I didn't even get to be a part of that. But so I want to say thanks for that, Jay. Thanks for inviting me. There's a couple of things that I can put out there real quick. I think that one of the things, Fred, I think that you said that makes so much sense to me is, as I have evolved in my relationship with my partner, I wrote this down, that it wasn't about being right. It was about what is the solution. And the solution was, my goal was always to demonstrate a level of high unconditional positive regard and love, point blank, period. So it was about the resolution of the problem. It wasn't about me being right about what I thought about the problem. I don't give a shit about me being right. It's about the resolution of the problem and demonstrating a high level of unconditional positive regard and love. I don't give it. If my wife is happy and I'm happy and we resolve the challenge, why the hell do I need to be right? I don't need, right is love. Right? That's all I need. Right? And the other thing, I think that, there's a big difference between having self-interest and selfishness. Right?
Yes.
To have self-interest in Eric is to say, I got to work out. Right now I'm fasting. I'm doing a 19 and 5, right? So I'm fasting. Why am I fasting? Because I got to be the best version of me. My son got to see me going hard. And my desire to be the best version of me and make me a number one priority, and God is within me, so I'm putting God in there too with it. I am demonstrating what it is to go hard. Selfishness is look at me. It's about me. Self-interest is I will do the best version of me. I think that my partner will appreciate that. And the other thing I wrote down here is, communication about challenges is not a cry for my wife to solve a problem for me. It's not a cry for me to solve a problem for her. My wife expressing a problem to me is an opportunity for me to provide her with a safe place to be creative, to figure that shit out.
Wow.
Because I didn't marry a damn girl. I married a freaking woman.
Right on.
Because she married a damn man. So my job is to corral that environment and to hear her problem solve and go, that's what's up.
Right.
And so I think that those are the things that I have to have, but I also have to have my expectations in line with reality. None of this stuff works if I have not communicated communicated about an expectation. Because if I'm working off of a should and not working off of a present moment expression and reciprocal piece of communication, then this shit ain't gonna never happen because it's imaginary. I made this shit up. To communicate about my expressions and have my expectations is have my expectations in line with reality. And all these other things fall in line when I communicate effectively and share my expectation and understand that I might think that, you don't know if y'all know the Matrix, you know what I'm saying? But I might think I'm bending that spoon. The reality is there is no spoon. So to understand that I believe that there's this and this and this, there is only in the present moment my desire to communicate effectively with my partner and resolve the problem at hand and demonstrate love.
Yeah.
And you can't be on some hoe shit and make that happen.
Right on. Right.
I just appreciate all of you, man. You guys just came, unashamed and and naked, right, tonight and for the last few weeks. And before Corey and Frederick and Eric, before you jumped on, we were kind of in discussion about how over the last couple of weeks people are sending emails and text messages about what they like or what they dislike about the show. But one thing that I will always stand behind is none of us are experts, none of us are perfect. We just have our lives that we've lived, and through our experiences, we will be able to share some things, some missteps, some mishaps, places that we wish that we could take back. But it's not so that we can sit in what we wish we could take back. It's so that we can help educate those who are trying to learn, right? Because there's a lot of folks who are going to come behind us and wonder, what should I do? And the 6 of us on the call right now, we might not have had that. We might have not have had that guiding hand to tell us this is what we should do, right? And so we provide that for our future. So I'm just grateful for just this time that we have together. Dom, you did something earlier. I want to kind of close out with this, a quote from a rap song I heard before. I don't even know who raps it, but you said, "The greater my efforts."
That's Rick Ross, baby. That's Rick Ross.
Nah, that was Wale.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, it was Wale. He said,
That's
"The better my
Wale,
effort, the wetter her treasure."
That's on that pineapples.
Yeah, the better effort, the wetter her.
Yeah, the better my
I
effort.
think that's
the
so
wetter her
powerful
treasure.
because it's not just her treasure is not just her vagina, right? We have to look at that metaphorically as well. The better my effort, the wetter her treasure. That's her life. The better my efforts, how I'm adding value to all areas of her life is so freaking powerful. I don't even know if Waller knew what he was saying. Maybe he does know what he was saying when he rapped that, but just the interpretation on that was just so powerful. So I'm glad you brought that up, man. Really do. All right, brothers. Well, it's after 10 East Coast time. It's after 9, Corey, your time, man. You got an extra hour on us, man. We about to probably wind down, and you probably about to turn up, Corey.
Actually, man, I'm actually in LA right now, so I got a couple of hours.
Oh man.
Yeah, you got a few hours on it. It's only 7 o'clock. I'm surprised that it's like it's already setting.
Yeah, man. It's what time is it here? I don't know. It's 7:04. It's 7:04 p.m. here, man. So I got a couple of hours.
It's over.
Yeah. Well, be safe getting home, gentlemen. Lamar, I know you're in your office, man. So be safe getting home. If you guys are out and about, travel light. Great seeing y'all. We'll be in touch because we got to stay connected. I love the accountability. I love the love. I see the pause. I see it.
Yeah.
Hey, look, you're afraid. You're afraid didn't even know.
No,
I know. I felt that light shining off of him. I felt that light shining off.
Oh, okay.
That ultra sheen.
Okay.
Hey,
All right,
man,
brother.
it was a Stone Groove, y'all. Y'all take care, man.
Yeah. Have a great week.
Don't forget to fight the
Peace,
power,
man.
y'all.
Peace, man.
All right, fellas.
All right.
Thank Jay.
Yep. Have a good night, everybody.